You sit in your warm parlors, surrounded by comforts you did not earn, listening to men with soft hands tell you that the world is a gentle place. They tell you that if you follow the rules, if you are polite, and if you wait your turn, you will be rewarded. I am speaking to you from the grave of a century built on iron and steam to tell you that is a lie. I did not build an empire that spanned oceans and continents by waiting for permission. I did not amass a fortune that dwarfed the treasury of the nation by playing the part of the gentleman. I did it by understanding the one law that governs the wolf and the sheep alike. The strong take and the weak surrender. You want to know how a man rises from the mud of a frozen harbor to the throne of the world? You must stop looking for a fair fight. There is no such thing. There is only the fight you win and the fight you lose. Let us speak of the water. When I began, the rivers were choked with monopolies protected by pieces of paper signed by politicians. These men sat in their high offices believing their charters made them kings. They charged the working man $3 to travel, bleeding the public because they believed there was no other choice. I looked at their ships, heavy with arrogance, and I saw their throat. I did not negotiate with them. I engaged in the economics of suffocation. I dropped my price to $1. They laughed and matched me. I dropped it to 10 cents. They stopped laughing. Then I did what they considered insanity. I carried the people for nothing, free. I turned my ships into floating markets, selling the food and the drink, monetizing the very air they breathed while my rivals drained their vaults trying to compete with zero. I didn't beat them with money. I beat them with pain. I held their heads under the water until the bubbles stopped rising, and when they finally came to me to surrender, I bought their fleets for the price of scrap wood. I cleared the river not by asking them to leave, but by making it impossible for them to exist. But water is fluid. Iron is absolute. When I turned my eyes to the railroads, the establishment tried to bar the gates. The lords of the rail thought they could starve me out. They refused to connect their tracks to mine, hoping to turn my lines into a road to nowhere. They thought they could isolate a force of nature. They forgot that I held the keys to the kingdom. I owned the only bridge that carried freight into the beating heart of the city. It was the dead of winter. The rivers were locked in ice. The city was shivering, desperate for coal, for flour, for life. I did not send a lawyer to argue my case. I simply gave the order to close the gate. I parked my locomotives across the iron path and strangled the economy of the greatest city on earth. The panic was immediate. The markets collapsed. The cries of the investors reached the heavens, and the men who tried to block me watched their fortunes turn to ash in a single afternoon. They came to my door, hats in hand, begging for mercy. I did not give them mercy. I took their railroads. I absorbed them into my own body. I taught them that you do not negotiate with the man who owns the choke point. you submit to him. And do not think that wealth brings safety. Wealth brings wolves. I once built a golden road through the fever-ridden jungles of the South, a route that carried the wealth of the gold rush. I trusted men to watch it while I sailed across the ocean. I made them rich. And how did they repay me? They stole it. They conspired in the dark to seize my company, thinking the old man was too far away, too tired to fight. They thought I would use the courts. I have never respected the law of men. I respect only the law of ruin. I wrote them a message, short and cold as the grave. I told them I would not sue them, for the law is too slow. I told them I would ruin them, and I unleashed a storm upon their heads. I built a rival line. I slashed the prices to a level of madness, and I stayed in the fight until their stock was worth less than the dirt on my boots. I destroyed their names, their credit, and their future. I taught the world that betrayal is a debt that is paid with total annihilation. But listen to me, for this is the lesson that saves you from your own vanity. A wise man knows when he has walked into a trap. There was a war I fought for a rival road where I tried to buy every share in existence. I poured millions into the fight, thinking I could own it all. But I was fighting against scoundrels who printed new stock in a cellar faster than I could buy it. I was shoveling gold into a bottomless pit. A lesser man, blinded by pride, would have fought until he was a pauper. I did not. I saw the game was rigged. I stopped. I accepted the wound. I walked away. I cut the limb to save the life. My enemies, drunk on their theft, eventually rotted from within while I stood tall. You must have the iron will to retreat when the ground. My enemies, drunk on their theft, eventually rotted from within while I stood tall. You must have the iron will to retreat when the ground beneath you is poisoned. Consider the panic that grips the hearts of lesser men when the markets turn red. In '73, the banks collapsed. The streets were filled with screaming men, clutching worthless paper. The government was paralyzed. The economy was dying. They looked for a savior. But there were no saints, only me. I stood as the monolith. While others hoarded gold in fear, I spread stability. I bailed out the banks not out of charity, but because I understood that if the host dies, the parasite dies with it. I proved that true power is not just the ability to destroy, but the capacity to be the only pillar left standing when the roof caves in. I didn't just participate in the economy, I became the economy. And what of the blood? What of the legacy? I looked at my own son and saw a softness that disgusted me. He was raised in silk, not in the salt spray. A soft air is the death of an empire. I did not coddle him. I exiled him. I sent him to a barren farm on an island and told him to make the earth yield a profit or starve. I made him sweat in the sun. I made him the mockery of the drawing rooms. But the boy died, and a man was born. He learned the value of $1 by earning it with his back. When I brought him home, he was no longer a child, he was a weapon. I left him the throne because I knew he had the stomach to defend it. Before I left this world, I decided to leave a scar upon the earth that time could not heal. I looked at the chaos of the city and demanded order. I built a cathedral, not to God, but to motion. I ordered the construction of a great terminal, a palace of glass and steel where the trains would come to bow. I wanted every soul entering the city to walk through my gates, to feel small beneath the weight of my vision. That terminal stands today. You walk through it, checking your watches, unaware that you are walking through the externalized mind of a titan. It is a testament to the fact that one man's will can impose geometry upon the chaos of the world. You look at me from your comfortable age and you call me ruthless. You judge me, but you enjoy the world I built. You ride on my rails, you build on my foundations. You want the glory, but you fear the dirt. Stop waiting for the world to be fair. It will never be fair. It belongs to the cold, to the bold, and to the relentless. Identify the bridge you must own. Identify the price you must pay. Identify the weakness in your enemy and strike it without hesitation. The view from the summit is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who are willing to climb over the wreckage of what stood in their way. Now, wake up. The engine is waiting.